Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Today we have Karl Spielvogel with Uncle Karl's Goat Farm, all the way in from North Carolina. And he's here to share how he does crazy deals, and in fact turned one recently into a $243,000 assignment fee. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Steve Trang, broker and owner of Stunning Homes Realty, founder of the OfferFast Homes app, the only app you'll need for wholesaling. And I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires, so if that's something you're interested in, let's definitely connect on Instagram. If you're excited for today's show, please give me a wave, give me a thumbs up. And as a friendly reminder, I don't charge a dime for this show. I don't make any money doing this. So here's all I ask. This is what it costs for you to listen to this show. If you get value today, please tell a friend. You can share this episode right now, tag a friend below, or tell them your best takeaway from this show later on. That way we can all grow together. And this is a live show, so please post your questions for Uncle Karl to answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So first things first, what got you into real estate?
Well, at the time I owned some Subway sandwiches and shops, and I hated it. It was miserable. So a buddy of mine said, hey, there's a guy named Ron LeGrand. He's putting all these seminars. Let's go learn about real estate. So I went to some of Ron's seminars, and I went to probably 3 or 4 of them, Lou Brown, and started learning. And I love the stuff I learned. So I started going to the seminars, and that's how I learned some of the creative deals. And then there's, I think it's Cameron Dunlop and some other people like that. Yeah. And that's how then we started, trying to do deals. But the first 9 months, I got 0. It was really bad.
So, you're not the first person to say that. I think Brian Kandowski, a previous guest on our show, had the same thing. He learned from Ron LeGrand through owning Subway stores. Oh,
he had Subways too?
Yeah, he had Subways too. That's so funny. So when this is back in what year?
Probably 1999, late 90s, early around 2000, around there, yeah.
So you learned from that 9 months. You weren't doing any deals, but then you got into it. And then what was your journey from there?
Well, I did it was sort of a struggle for a while, but I would buy from realtors, and I got going pretty decent. And then another thing that we did was started doing a little bit of coaching. Me, Mitch, and Linda Dana, we did this coaching. And then 2008 came along, and I went from thinking I was a badass to being a dumbass, and I lost every single thing I've worked for my entire life.
Wow. So it was a little humbling.
It was very humbling. And I'd love to say it was the 2008 what happened, but it was me not being smart. It was me buying for appreciation and making mistakes. So I really can't. It was actually a good thing. It was very, very humbling experience. And then I went into the used car business with my ex-girlfriend, which is not another smart thing. I did that for a while, and then eventually got back into doing the real estate again.
Okay, so then you got back into real estate. What year was this?
It was about March 3 years ago.
Okay, and so you get back in. What was your first deal like when you got back into?
Well, what I did is I started going around to all the different real estate meetups. I was trying to get back in, get to know the people, get reestablished. And I ran into my buddy Mitch, who we'd done some deals together. We'd done some teaching. He said, hey, Karl, there's property. It's going to tax sale. And if you can find the guy and get it under contract, I'll give you half the deal. And I'm like, okay, this is my break to get back in. So we end up Googling the guy, and turns out that he's a used car turnaround specialist. So what we did was I hired him. I called him up, found his resume, and I said, hey, I'll say his name's Frank. I don't want to give his hey, we got a used car dealership. We're struggling, and I need your help. And he came up that weekend to help turn around the used car dealership. So I called Mitch back, and I said, hey, Mitch, Frank is in our office. He's like, what? You found him? He's in our office.
You didn't just find him. You hired him.
I hired him in the hopes to get a deal. I know that's crazy. So Mitch comes in, meets him. We're talking to him, and we let him, get to know him over the week. We're like, do you have any property left in Charlotte? And he goes, no, I don't have any. I'm like, okay. So he goes back to Columbia. And after we get to know him, and then we call him up, and we're like, hey, Mitch found out that you have a piece of property. It's going to tax sale. And he said, well, that's funny. Someone just called me, and they offered me $35,000 for the property. And I was like, I tell you what, you know us, whatever. We'll match that price. We're going to come down right now and sign the contract. So we drove down, signed the contract. We bought it for $35,000. We did a little bit of we cleared the lot, and we had a realtor. My friend Shannon, Shannon Lynch. She had taken me around some meetings, helped me get back into it. But she was the one that sold it for $115. Our net after everything was $58,000 in about 3 months on that first wholesale. And I was like, hey, I like this. I want to do more of this.
Yeah, that's really good. So right after that, you quit the dealership thing? Or
No, I only did this part-time. I was still helping my ex-girlfriend out, and that was miserable. Probably don't need to talk about that, but that was miserable. We were actually, believe it or not, it was 1,700 square foot building, and we were actually living in the building. We had 3 dogs, so we're in the back. The dogs were there, and we were living in the car dealership. It was not the best of times for us.
Right.
You know.
Well, you're getting back after losing everything. So then at which point from you were doing that to when did you go all in again?
It was probably about another 3/4 of a year or so. So something around 3/4 of a year to year when I went all in full time.
Right.
So I was just doing it part time up until probably a little over 2 years ago. Then I went back full time.
Okay. And you said your buddy Mitch?
Yeah.
So then were you working with Mitch again, or what did you do once you went all in?
Yeah. We basically, he says we're not partners. We joint venture on every deal. He's sort of like that Charlie's Angel guy. He's a guy that makes a phone call that you never see, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we joint venture on every deal, and we pretty much split everything, 50-50.
Okay. So then somewhere along the way, you did something in regards to a goat farm.
Yeah, this deal was interesting. Every good story starts with I was drinking at the bar. Yeah. So I was drinking at the bar, talking to my bartender, which I've known for years, and he was saying his mom was going through foreclosure, was going to lose the house. So I'm like, okay, we'd be interested in working a deal. So what we ended up doing was I went and met with her, found out what was going on, and we agreed to buy it for a certain price. And what's interesting about this piece of property is it is in the county. If you're familiar with North Carolina, there's a city called TK, which is sort of a wealthy city. And this piece of property was in sort of like TK surrounded on 2 sides and was in the county. So what I wanted them to do was I wanted the city to annex it, because they annex it into the city, then I could build 2 houses. It's much more valuable. So I called the city manager up and said, hey, I got this piece of property. I want you to annex it into the city from the county. And he said, well, son, we're not going to do that, but I'm interested in talking to you. Why don't you come down and meet with me? So I should have said, Dad? No. But anyways, I went down. I said, okay. Yeah. Real nice guy, everything. He said, okay, we're building a baseball field, and we want that piece of property. And so I said, well, will you pay for it? He said, well, we'll probably pay you $85,000, maybe $90,000. And I was like, well, that's low. It should be higher. It's worth more. So we ended up doing a short sale on the property, and we ended up getting the property for $50,000. I think he found that out. So then we called him and said, okay, let's negotiate. And he said, well, I could only pay you $65,000 for that property. I was like, what? $65,000? How'd the offer go down?
$20,000.
Yeah, so it went down. I was like, I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, this property is in the county, correct? He said, yes. You have no jurisdiction on it? He goes, yes. It's zoned agriculture? He goes, yes. So I said, I could open a goat farm. And he goes, well, I guess you could. So, and I showed you the pictures earlier. So what we did was we rented goats. We put these big signs, Uncle Carl's Goat Farm, coming soon. We got these T-shirts, Uncle Carl's Goat Farm coming to TKK. We even had goat cupcakes made, cupcakes with goats on them. And we did this Facebook Live. We had some people come down, talked about how we're getting ready to open this goat farm in TKK. And of course, this is a very rich area.
Yeah.
I don't think they really particularly would want goats.
Of course not.
And one other thing I actually did was sort of funny too, was I sent them a letter saying that we're going to be training ninja attack goats, and I couldn't guarantee the fence would hold them in when he opens the baseball field. And I think he might have known I was messing with him. But so we had this big production with all the goats and everything. And that day we got an offer for $100,000 closing in 7 days.
So he increased his offer $35,000.
Yes.
Pretty much overnight.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the goats or not. I'm not saying it was, but I think it didn't hurt.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely made his life more difficult than it needed to be.
See, sometimes it takes a goat farm to get a deal. Sometimes you get it creative. So.
Well, and I think that's something to look at, right? So maybe in the future I'll consider investing in renting goats.
Yeah, all I did, I rented them. You could rent goats I've rented 3 goats for $200 for 2 hours. So, I mean.
That was a pretty good ROI.
Yes.
So one of the things that really struck me is that you like dealing, I would say, in challenging situations.
Yep.
So I heard you even say, I was going through some of your other presentations, you'll buy properties with tax liens on them.
Yeah, I mean, we like to buy and wherever there's a problem, like we're talking about the Irs Tax Lien. Yeah. Well, this one. Can I tell the story?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please
What happened was there was a property we're driving by. It was vacant, and there's also a tax. It was tax delinquent. So it started out that it ended up being IRS lien. But what happened was we drove by. It was vacant. Pulled up, and there's 3 different owners. 2 of them were deceased, and 1 was still alive. So they had 3 properties that the tax bill was running up on. So what I did was I went to the one lady, let's say her name is Sally, and I knocked on her door. I left her Federal Express packages. I left notes. For 9 months, I stalked her. Mm-hmm. I stalked her. I even sat outside her house sometimes waiting for her car to come out. But eventually what happened is after 9 months of stalking her, she finally called me one day. And she said, Carl, I see you're trying to get a hold of me. I said, well, how did you know that? She said, a few notes and stuff. And I said, well, and here's important. I said, well, let's just talk. What's going on? She said, I'm ready to sell the properties. Mm-hmm. So we met at Starbucks. And I said, well, tell us what's going on. You know, we're good at solving problems. She said, well, my brother and sister, I'm the only heir. We all got left the property now, and they've passed, so it all goes to me. And the reason I'm ready to sell is there's $249,000 IRS tax lien that's falling off next month. So I'll sell it to you. So because IRS tax liens are only good for 10 years, and they typically don't renew them. They almost always fall off.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I've never seen them renew them. I've never seen the IRS foreclose. But check with your attorney. Check with everything. Don't, before you go do
We're
that.
Not attorneys.
Was that?
We are not attorneys.
Yeah. We're not attorneys. We're not claiming, whatever. So check with your attorney. So we signed the contract, and then what ended up happening was we pulled the lien, and it was actually good for another year. So we had another problem. Mm-hmm. So what we ended up doing is, and we knew that they were going to fall off. So we ended up giving her $40,000 to pay off the tax delinquents, mm-hmm. and she deeded us the property, and then the balance was due in a year when the IRS tax lien fell off. So we had 3 properties: one which she gave us for $57,000, one for $75,000, and one which is a little tiny lot she gave us for free. I always like free property.
Yeah,
I'll take it. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was the one for $57,000, we waited to 3 months before the tax IRS lien fell off. We put up for sale, and we used when that closed, we made $58,000. So we're able to take that money to put down to pay off the rest of the money we owed. Mm-hmm. So we made $58,000 profit on that, and then there's a little tiny lot, and this is thing we learned about. What's it called? A variance. I didn't even know what a variance was, mm-hmm. but we ended up hiring an attorney to get the variance done on the property, and basically the variance just it moves the setbacks. It takes something that's not buildable, mm-hmm. and it puts it through the city, and then they allow you to build on it. We did the variance on it, and we have it under contract for $100,000. So we'll make about $96,000 when we sell that, and in I think a week or 2 it closes out.
That was the free one?
That was the free one. So that's going to be $96,000, $58,000 on the first one, and then we're going to keep the duplex because it's coming up. And we could probably sell it for close to $175,000, mm-hmm. so we could make close to $100,000 on that. So between everything, it's going to be about a $230,000 deal on one tax delinquent. Started as a tax delinquent and vacant. I mean, everybody in Charlotte could have driven by and done this. Well, I'd say everyone could have gone by and tried to do it, but because we were persistent and didn't give up, we got that deal. And then when there was problems, we solved that problem with the IRS tax lien.
And then I saw something with you drilling locks. No, not you. Someone else is drilling locks.
Oh, yeah.
So what was that situation?
That started another tax delinquent, okay? We pulled it up.
And I think tax delinquent's a very popular lead source in North Carolina, right?
It's our best. We make more money off the tax delinquents. I mean, you guys shouldn't try this at home, but we make more money off tax delinquents than we do anything.
Okay.
So came off tax delinquent. Then we use a thing called BIN verified. It's a skip trace thing. Mm-hmm. Put the owner's name in, shows she was deceased. Then we pulled the obituary. The obituary says who are the people next to kin, whatever. Mm-hmm. We called them and said, hey, we're interested in property. What's going on? He said, well, we left it alone about 6 or 8 years ago. and we don't have the money. There's some liens and judgments and stuff, and we don't want the property. We're like, well, how about we give you and your sister $2,500 a piece? Mm-hmm. She goes, that would work.
Yeah.
So here's one thing we do is we try to get on deed for very little. So we said, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to give you guys $500 a piece to deed us the property. So we deed it to a land trust in case there were some problems and we had to walk away. So for $1,000, we owned the property. Mm-hmm. Then it turned out there was some judgments and liens and open estate. But we were able, luckily the judgments and liens were past the 10-year and they weren't collectible.
Like
so,
your tax?
Like the tax things, because they're only good for 10 years.
Right.
So we ended up, once we got the property, we said, is anybody living there? She goes, no, it's been vacant. There's nobody living there. So we went there and we noticed there's a big dog barking and we noticed there's these little video cameras all around the place. And we're like, something's not quite right.
Yeah. So
we had the police show up. We went through the eviction process to get them out. The police show up and I got there a little bit late. And my buddy Joe was drilling out the front door. He was our partner on it. And then two police are there with their guns. So I walk around the side door. I said, hey, guys, the side door's open. They're like, we checked it was locked when we got here. I'm like, what's going on? So when we got inside, we found this video cameras, 4 cameras. So they were watching outside. So when we were trying to get to the front door, they ran out the side door. Mm-hmm. And get this, there's over 100 pair of Air Jordans, size 10, 10 and a half, 11. And we had some little baby Air Jordans, Gucci slides. They had TVs, all sorts of stuff. So it was pretty interesting. Obviously, they were dealing drugs out of there, and that was going on. So we lock it back up, and then that night they come back and break in again. So I think we must not have found their stash or their cash somewhere. But I still have 100 pairs of Jordans. So what size do you wear?
10, conveniently.
10. Okay, I should have brought you a pair. Okay,
ship them over.
I'll ship you another. But anyway, so we're into it for $1,000. We clean it up and we list it on the MLS, and we get an offer for $95,000. So after we got sort of lucky on some of those liens not attaching and stuff, and we were able to get title insurance through our attorney, and we were able to sell. We were able to make $66,000 in about little over 90 days, with maybe $1,500 to $2,000 upfront, invested in the property. And of course, we didn't pay the taxes off. We waited until the closing to pay the taxes off on that. Yeah. So that was a fun deal.
That's incredible. So Eric Richner wants to know on the other one with the 3 properties. So what was your total out of pocket on that one?
At first, it was $40,000 to pay off all the back taxes, and then we used the sale of the other property to pay. So I think $40,000 was pretty much out of pocket, and we sold the other property that paid. There might have been another $20,000. I'm not real good. My partner takes care of the numbers. He's smarter than I am. I just go make the deal. So probably $40,000, then maybe another $25,000, $30,000 out of pocket, and it'll be probably $230,000, maybe $250,000 net.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. And then Eric wants to know then, with this information, are you looking for tax delinquent leads that are 8 to 9 years old or older?
Well, yeah, typically we look for tax delinquents that are 3+ years older. We pull them from the city, and we go after ones that are older.
Okay.
And we like the ones where people passed away, where the property is vacant, and there's some kind of problem. The more problems, typically the more money you're going to make.
So let's talk about that. What are some problems that we're solving here?
We got another one. Like, this one was a vacant house. I was just driving through the neighborhood, and I noticed it was vacant. It looked okay. Someone was mowing the grass, but I jumped the fence. Probably shouldn't do this. Something about it seemed weird, and then I noticed the meter was missing. So I noticed the property was vacant. Turned out it had. Then we pulled up the 2 owners. They were passed away. So the problem with this property was that there's no will, and both the owners were dead, and the place was vacant. And then it turned out there was on that deal there's like 21 heirs, 6 different deaths. So I guess that for this one is and our best deals are where there's multiple heirs, multiple problems like this. You have to solve and get all the heirs on board to sign.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never dealt with more than one death. Like, one death is like my personal record on a transaction. Yeah. So
this had 6 different people died, and we had to do family trees and all this stuff drawn out.
You gotta go through like 23andMe.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. But one of the keys too was there's always usually one relative that knows pretty much everything. So what we did on that one, we had one of the relatives that we paid an extra $1,000 to help coordinate most of the other people. So she coordinated like 10 people to meet me in Abbeville, South Carolina, to get the deeds signed there, and then some of the other places. So it wasn't as bad as it seems, but it was still a lot of work.
So there's a property that you guys did a 243 on, 243,000 on one deal, and I completely butchered the numbers, but you picked it up for 35,000.
35,000, and we sold it for 310.
Who the guy eventually flipped for 950,
and then he tore it down and sold it for 950.
Yeah, so he did pretty good too.
He did real well, but we made more money than he did.
So let's talk about that. How did you find this property that you're able to buy for 35 and wholesale for 310?
What happened was it came from a bird dog, a guy named Gerald who works for us. He's pressure washing houses, and he said, "Hey, there's a house in this neighborhood where the guy passed away 3 or 4 months ago, and some squatters had moved in." And so, basically that's the problem. There's squatters, and the guy passed away, and I don't know where the heirs are. So what we did then is we used two things. We used been verified, came in, and then it had like the relatives. So we started calling the relatives. But actually, no, on this one, we actually know what we did. We hired a genealogist. Even we knew it was a good deal. So we hired a genealogist to do the family tree. And what she told us was the mom had passed away. There's a married couple. She passed away. Then the gentleman passed away. And the rightful heir would have been his brother, who died in Crete in 1973 in a car accident. Then it went to his two sons. They were the rightful heirs.
Mm-hmm. Did they know they were the rightful heirs?
No. Well, they didn't even know about it. Because what happened was, so we started looking for these two kids. And we searched everywhere. One of the things actually we ended up doing first was I went to the grave site and we started interviewing. There's some local relatives, and I went and said, "Hey, have you seen? Let's say his name is Tom." Yeah. I mean, I went and said, "Tom's passed away."
Well, and this is crazy, right? Like I don't know anybody that visits grave sites to do deals.
Oh yeah, we went there to the grave sites. We wanted to see who else was next to them. We've done crazy stuff. So we went to the grave site.
So you're talking to relatives,
and then the relatives. When we visit the relatives, they're like, "Tom's dead?" I said, "Yeah, he passed away like 4 or 5 months ago." Like, "Oh, we didn't know." So not a close family, but they gave us lots of information. They said the mom, like when the brother passed away in Crete in 73, the mom got remarried to a police officer outside of D.C. So we had a little bit of evidence of what's going on. But we did everything. We built this whole big thing. I spent months just researching it, trying to find this. Even my partner was like, "Give up, Carl. You can't get this." I'm like, "I'm getting this deal." So then I found the niece who was living there, and she had actually Tom had given her a lease to 2040 for $1 a month. Okay. So I went and visited her, and she said, "Yeah, I moved in with these people. They're druggies, and they're tearing the place up." And so she had a lease that technically had to be bought out. So I paid her like $113 to buy her lease out. And then, so we keep searching for these guys, and we can't find them. We're like, why can we not find these boys? What is wrong? What are we doing wrong? I think one night I was talking with Maria. She's one of our partners. And I think I had 8 beers or maybe 10 beers. I don't know. And then the epiphany was, what if the mom got remarried? When she got remarried, she changed last names. We're like, oh.
Yeah. So
then we ended up, the genealogist found we knew to look in the D.C. area, so they ended up finding out that she got remarried and the name change. So we're able to track her down, and then you can go on people's Facebook pages. We've just been verified and whatever. We know she was talking to the 2 kids, but the name has been changed. So now we identified who the rightful heirs after months and months and months of working on it. But we ended up doing at this point is you've got to set the table. You can't just go, "You own this property," and da-da-da-da-da.
All right. Congratulations. It's a big day for you.
Yeah. So we had to say, here's the problems. A, there's squatters living in the place. There's a niece with a lease. Okay. There's code enforcement on the property. Tom passed away without a will, so it's intestate. There could be some problems there. And there's tax foreclosure in 2 weeks. We got it just before the tax foreclosure. I think there's some other problems. So we said, we have all these problems, but we're going to give you $35,000 for the property. And they said, normally we negotiate. That's what we do. But this is found money, and it sounds like there's quite a few problems to deal with. I said, yeah. So they sold it to us for $35,000. And then in North Carolina, we didn't want to open the estate, because you open the estate, liens and judgments can attach. But if someone's been passed away 2 years, you're good to go. So we bought the property for $35,000. We just cleaned it out, and we waited 9 more months. And then we sold it to a builder for $310. But during that, we also had to deal with, we had to pay the taxes off. We had to deal with the code enforcement, and then we, luckily got the lease from the niece, and then, we finished getting the squatters out, and just, we had some problems and stuff putting it together.
Sure.
So yeah, that deal was our biggest. So we had 35 invested. We paid the bird dog guy, I think $5,000, and we paid bonuses to everybody. And I think we had $1,000 into cleaning it out, and we just held it for 9 months, and that was $243,000 profit on that deal.
Yeah, this whole genealogist thing, whatever. I've never heard of this for wholesale.
Yeah, I mean it's where the money is right now. In my opinion, you've got Redfin, you've got all these other companies coming in. They're going to be hard to compete doing normal deals. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's going to be harder and harder with these people paying cash and paying crazy prices. So I think learning the niche stuff, we got a whole bunch of other lists of niche stuff I can talk about, is where you can make really good money, because no one wants to track down 21 heirs. No one wants to put the time in this, but the money is huge, just huge on these deals.
So you're the one going through the tax records. I'm picturing you in the library with like the microfilm.
It's really simple. All you got to do is order the list, and they send it to you. You can download it, so it's not hard,
Okay.
So it's really simple.
Yeah. So then you got this big one right here that was basically more than a grand slam, and then you're doing a couple of commercial deals too.
Yeah, well, this one we just got. We ended up, there's another tax delinquent on a commercial building, and
are the policies the same in North Carolina, whether it's commercial or residential?
I do very few commercial, but it's the same thing. But we searched the guy. The guy left town almost 10 years ago, and he just left the property. He left one tenant in it, this little commercial space, and he just left. I don't know, and he didn't pay the taxes. So we finally searched him down, got a hold of him, and this one was sort of unique. What we did was we offered him a buyout just to pay him and buy it, but he didn't want to do that. So we said, well, how about we partner? So we have a joint venture where we deed it into our company. We control what we sell it for, and he'll split the profits 50-50 after the taxes. So we have $250 invested. We own half this building. It's worth, I don't know what it's worth. Tax value is $310. There's like $50,000 or $60,000 in taxes owed, and this is one we just got recently. So I don't know what the profit of that. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but that's that's another creative way to do stuff. Where this is the second deal we've done where we partnered with the owner. Yeah. So there's so many cool creative ways that you can work with people.
So, are there other people in your market doing this?
There's other people, more because I talk too much about it. There's more and more competition, but people won't dive in as deep as we do. They're not as persistent, and they won't. Another thing too is like we get stopped a lot of times by something, and we have to take a step back and look at how we're going to do stuff. So we also pivot. So I think that's what gives us the advantage over most people. They're not willing. They want the low-hanging fruit. They're not willing to spend 9 months working on and off on a deal. They're not willing to put the time in to do these deals.
Well, and you kind of mentioned it before we got on air, was that my average wholesale fee is like $13K, right? Yours is $50.
It's probably about 50, yeah.
Yeah, so it's worth it.
Yeah, but it's a lot more work, a lot more time consuming, and a lot of headaches and figuring stuff out that we don't even know. Like we're doing partition sales now where we buy parts of property, and then we force the sale of the property or buy people out. So we'll go buy, like we got one now we own 3/4 of, we had one we bought half of, and then we did a partition sale and we end up owning all of it now.
Right.
We didn't know what a partition sale was. We just well, how do we do this? And we talked to our attorney and says, do this, this, and this. And we're like, okay. And we just follow step by step,
So your attorneys guided you a little bit.
Yeah, we got 3 different attorneys that we talked to, and different ones.
So are these, these crazy ideas that you guys have, are these attorneys guided advice, or there's other people you talk to about this?
Yeah, we talk. See, another thing too. Our attorneys, different real estate people, we go to meetups, and some of it's just us brainstorming, strategizing how to be creative on these deals. We spend a lot of time on trying to figure them out.
So I normally ask how your operation is different than other people, but it sounds like we already kind of nailed that one.
Yeah.
So then, in order to run an operation like yours, so what would someone need to do? Let's say they're in a different market, right? Not North Carolina. So if you're in North Carolina, like turn off.
Yeah.
But if you're in a different state with a tax delinquent, if you're a tax deed state, what would you recommend?
Well, I would recommend you need to have several things. We have we have 2 skip trace people, 2 companies got Ben Verified and IDI Core, and then another thing was you need some good attorneys that will work with you. One of our attorneys has fired us twice, and then
you won't take no.
Yeah, and then the other one he told us he's a 3 error limit, but you have to have good attorneys, and then you just got to go out and research the stuff and sort of do it. I mean, we have a part-time paralegal. And then we joint venture. We have people that we joint venture. We show them what to do, and they go out and just bring the deals in, and we create them. So I think basically, it's easy to pull the lists, but it's not just tax delinquents. Tax delinquents is just probably 20-25%, maybe 30% of what we do. It's also the same thing on foreclosures. They have the same problems with tax. So it's the foreclosures, it's the vacants, foreclosures, tax delinquents, and then you can make a lot of money just using your property lookup system. We've done really well on that.
What do you mean by property lookup system?
Every big city has ours is the GIS, the county lookup. I'm sure you have one here.
Yeah, we have a GIS.
Okay, yeah. So basically, this is what we did. There's the light rail.
I don't know what it stands for, guys. I think it's Global Information Systems, but really, I don't know what it stands for.
It just shows you stuff.
Or Geographic Information Systems, but anyway.
So we use that like the light rail stop. We're like, okay, there's a light rail stop coming here in a year. It's already under construction. Let's buy close to that. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science. Okay, the property values are going to go up. So all I did was click on one property, pulled it up, and it was the owner was Mr. Money. Went and knocked on the door and asked the tenant because it was a different mailing address. So if it's a different mailing address, then it's most likely a rental. Got the phone number, called him up and said, hey, I want to buy your property. He's like, well, I'm 85, getting ready to turn 86. It's about time for me to sell. So I think we got a little bit lucky. Met with him. And we bought that property for $33,000. Right now, we can sell it for $150,000. That was like 2 years ago. And then I clicked on the next piece of property, a vacant lot. Pulled it up. There was 2 owners. Took the one owner, put it into been verified. Called him, said, "Hey, I want to buy your lot." That's all I'm doing. Is just I want to buy your lot. And he goes, "I forgot I owned it." I'm like, "How do you forget you own property?" And he said, "Well, the reason I forgot I owned it, we had the house. Me and my partner had the house. And the lot, and we sold it. They just left us with a lot, and we forgot we owned it. So I made a deal with him to buy his half. But he goes, I haven't seen my guy in years, my partner. I've not seen him in years. And so I was at a real estate meeting and just talking to this guy, Gary, next to me. And I said, okay, I'm trying to find this DeMario guy. DeMario, I can't say his last name. And I can't seem to find this guy anywhere, and I need to close this in next week. He said, who? I said, DeMario, whatever the name. He says, he's one of my best friends. He lives in Florida. He picked up the phone, called the guy, and said, DeMario, I got a guy that wants to buy half that property. Now, that was lucky. I admit that was lucky. Yeah. But you're
telling everyone you're trying to
You're telling everybody. You put it out, the universe. So we bought that for, I think we're into that for 10 or 12. We can sell it for $115. We've had that a year and a half. That was just clicking, calling up. Then the next one, we clicked and called up. We bought that one for $70. And unfortunately, it burned down 7 days later. And then we ended up getting an insurance check for $100,000 on it, so we have no money invested in that. That was, but that piece of the lot alone's worth $115 now.
Yeah,
because the lot next to it just sold for $115. And then here's another cool thing: is we clicked on another piece of property, and it was a house and had some extra land to it. See, this is where you look for the niches. This doesn't happen very much. So what we did is we said, you know what? Can we subdivide out an extra lot? So I went down to the zoning. I talked to the people at zoning. And I said, can I just draw a line down the middle and subdivide it? Said, yeah, you can do that. We ended up buying the house for $70. We've had it about a year. We can sell the house for $150 plus and the lot for $80,000 plus. We're keeping all that stuff right there. Yeah. But it was simple. Buy the light rail, use the GIS system, click on it, call the owners. I think anybody can probably do that.
Anybody could do that.
But they don't. They're lazy.
But most people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about tax delinquents, foreclosures, vacants, property lookup, right? So you talked about skip tracing them, cold calling them, and following up with them. Are you doing any other type of advertising, or is it just that?
It's all us going out finding stuff. Every now and then we'll get a referral or a bird dog will bring us, but it's all us like looking for certain stuff, just looking at the foreclosures, the tax liens, the vacants, and going after them. We spend less than $500 a month to advertise, and probably not even that.
Yeah.
And so it's all us just finding stuff, which I know is different from most people. Most people are like, you got to market, you got to spend thousands and thousands and thousands to market. You know, we send out maybe 10, at the most 10 targeted letters a month on deals we're working on, handling. That's the most, probably more like 5.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's calling and knocking on doors. We knock on a lot of doors, and that, you know, in where the tax delinquents, foreclosures, and that works really well.
Very interesting. So we talked about how did you find deals. So then pulling data, what are you using to pull data?
We basically just download the tax delinquent from the county. My partner Mitch, they're at the courthouse. They pull the files from that, and we go after older
Daily,
mortgages.
Weekly, monthly?
Weekly. They pull that, and we track them. They're really good. They're good at tracking them. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
So they track them. So and then we use CRS data. It's called Courthouse Retrieval System. If we're going after a vacant house, let's see if there's a mortgage against it. We use Ancestry.com. You know, been verified, skip trace things, and find a grave, legacy.com for the bits, and that's probably, and Podio to put it in. So that's basically what we do.
Legacy.com for the what?
Obituaries.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, you pull the obituary. And if you walk in my office, I have a whiteboard all the way around. I got writing everywhere. So I'm more visual than, so we use a lot of the whiteboards to track stuff too, you know.
Wow. Okay. So then we were talking about skip tracing. So you don't really have an acquisition and disposition department then, right? It sounds like it's a pretty lean operation.
Yeah, it's more like the people we joint venture with, like we train people to do stuff. Once they get the deal, they're responsible for getting all the documents, getting all the way through. Then Mitch will either list on the MLS, we have a list of cash buyers, and we just do it that way pretty much.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much the two different ways we sell the properties, you know.
Right. Eric Richard wants to know again, are you buying property with company funds, or are you double closing? What are you doing?
Some of it we wholesale. My partner Mitch, we use IRA. We have private funds. We could always use some more, guys. Hint, hint, hint. And so it's usually we have some hard money, some private, and then IRA funds. So it's really cool. A lot of these big hits, my partner's not paying any taxes because they're being bought in his Roth IRA. So that's pretty cool too.
That's very cool. So what markets are you in?
Just Charlotte. We are joint venturing without, you know, I'm trying to get better organized. I'm not a very good organized person at all. So hiring some people, but we want to be able to joint venture with people all over the country because we've learned so many little niche things. I could tell you all about partitions, judgments, zoning loopholes. I could go on 0% interest. We've learned so many different land assemblage that we want to be able to joint venture. So we want to do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, so we do want to expand to other markets, but our main market is just Charlotte and Mecklenburg County is the main place we concentrate in right now.
Gotcha. So monthly marketing sounds, you said, was under $500 a month.
Yeah, but we do, I think, and I don't track it. I don't know what my overhead is, but it's probably somewhere around, because I have an office and different stuff and website. It's probably somewhere between $6,000 to $8,000 a month just to break even is my total expenses, and I could be off by a couple thousand.
And you're doing 3 to 4 deals a month.
Yeah, three deals. We're up to about 4 deals a month.
At $50K on average.
Probably about $50K on average.
So you don't really need to do more than 1 deal a month to do pretty good.
Yeah, 1 deal a month will get us by, you know. But we're also keeping a fair amount of these properties. I've got a lot of other ones with 150,000 equity, but we're keeping them because they're going to make more money in the future. So on the ones we're cashing out, we're probably cashing out on 2 a month.
I see.
You know?
Okay. What would you do if the market shifts?
Well, what's great is since I lost everything in 2008, we're at very low loan to value. I think our average loan to value on the property we're keeping is probably 30 to 40%. So I think we would be okay, but I would shift to more creative deals, getting people to carry back more subject twos. And right now, there's a lot of people on the sidelines with a ton of money. You just got to buy at a bigger discount and maybe sell and make a little bit less per property. But so I think if the market changes, we could stay lean, and then we would just find different creative styles to get people to carry paper and do different things. And again, there are always going to be people with cash. I don't care what's going on that are going to come back and buy some of the things. You're going to have to sell them at a discount. Right. But I live except for drinking and eating out. I live lean. I rent a house for $500 a month. I have a roommate. I don't have central air. This house is like original from the 50s. It's not terribly run down. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of overhead. So if things really get bad, I don't have a $3,000 a month house payment, car payment, any of that kind of stuff. So I think we would weather it. And then Mitch has deep pockets, so it's a combination of stuff would get us through.
Lessons you guys learned from the crash.
And good.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tim McQueen wants to know if you're JVing with Charlotte investors.
Yeah, we'll JV with people. Like I said, I've got some people I'm bringing in to help us. I've hired people to research and stuff, so we can take on more of these deals and joint venture with people.
Yeah, it sounds very administrative heavy.
It is, but it's not as bad, because it sounds worse than it is. It really does. I mean, I dropped out of school after a year and a half. I mean, I don't think if you have a high school degree and you can learn something, it's not as hard as I make it out to seem. It really is not.
Yeah.
I'd love to say it's rocket science. You can't do this, but it's just a process in learning it and working with attorneys and like the variances. It's like all we did was find a variance attorney and say, what do we do? And he told us what to do.
Right.
I didn't do anything. I mean, I'd love to say found the expert and they showed us and we just walked through the thing. I didn't do anything.
So then are you known in your market as the crazy guys?
Yeah, the guys that do the crazy deals.
Yes.
The crazy.
So you have that niche.
We have the niche. If it's crazy, if it's difficult, we're gonna do it.
So they call you, it's like, Carl, I got this deal. I don't know what to do with it.
Right.
You want to run with it?
Yeah. Awesome. I can tell you, I got a ton of other stories about crazy other things that we do. It's like I said, we do everything from we're taking options on property and assembling property. Like I said, we did the partition sales. We're learning about zoning loopholes, all substitution collateral. Like one piece of property, we took it over with a bunch of judgments. We're letting them fall off over time, because after 10 years, you can't collect on them. So there's so many cool ways that you could do this business. I love it. Just the different.
I mean, you're taking advantage of the fact that someone can't deal with this for the next 2 years, so you get a steep discount, and then you wait the 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you profit from it.
Yeah, like for example, demo liens. The city does demo, like on land, they'll demo a house and there'll be a $10,000 to $12,000 demo lien. Well, it's only good for 10 years and it falls off. So we have several lots that 2 and 3 more years, the demo lien is going to fall off. So all you have to do is wait and sit on it,
Right.
And then there's one more story one deal we just closed out. I'd love to tell you about. Is that okay?
Please do.
This was another tax delinquent where what happened was we pulled it up and it was in a corporation. The corporation was defunct. Okay, the LLC so it wasn't good anymore. And then we pulled up the 2 past owners. It was a husband and wife. Okay, and they were divorced. We do a little bit of research, and then was getting ready to go to tax sale. So we searched down. We tried to find the husband. We couldn't find him. So we found the wife. And we said, hey, a lot of this is listening. We called her up and we had to bug her. She didn't want to talk to her. We talked to her mom, and her mom, I think, said there's a $750,000 lien against the property, and they're ready to walk away from it. So we she was like, they don't want anything to do with it. So we kept begging her, and we finally, Maria, who works for us, she's one of our joint venture people. She's also a life coach, so she's really good with people. So she finally got a meeting. So we met with her and we said, hey, we want to get you something in the house. What's going on? She said, well, there's this lien. It's a mess. I think the LLC was left to me in the divorce, but we haven't paid. It's defunct and all this stuff. So this is what we knew. A big lien, defunct LLC, and a husband and wife got divorced where she got the property left in the thing. So we went to work. The $750,000 lien did not attach to the property because they put it in the LLC before the lien came down. So that was good. And then we had to pull her divorce decree. Turned out she had rights to the property in rights to the LLC, which was good. I don't know how that worked out. And then we were able to. There's some kind of rule I don't understand. Our attorney helped us with. It's called winding down a corporation, where they can still sign for the corporation. So we had to make sure we get title insurance, and a little bit dicey. I was a little bit scared, but we ended up. So this is what happened. we solved all the problems, and we said, okay, we gave her $28,000 up front, and then we gave her 18% of the profits, a deal she's going to walk from. Single mom, just I'm done. And we convinced her, look, she said, okay, I'll take $28,000 up front and $18,000 of the profits. We just fixed it up, sold it last week. Our profit's somewhere between $190 to $210. I haven't finished all the numbers yet. We had $87,000 total invested in that deal, and I think it's actually $200 to $210 is the net, but let's just say $190. And on a deal, it had multiple problems. We solved them, and what I love about it is she walked away with money, and she's getting a little bigger bonus check than she realizes. I don't think she realized what we were able to make out of it.
Right.
So I can't wait to go hand her that check, and or like I said, her kids are going to school, and she'll be able to help them with the money for that. So when you do deals like that, I love it. It's just it just warms my heart to be able to make a difference, in a situation like that.
Well, I mean, 18% at $200K, that's going to be a pretty healthy bonus.
Yeah. No, that's our take home is around $200K after paying her the 18%.
Oh, after paying her?
After paying that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's incredible. So Eric wants to know, and this is a question I asked you earlier, how much does that phone number cost?
Well, as all good stories start out, actually, I went to John Ulmer this years ago. I remember him, but he had a real estate course, and he said you need to have an easy to remember number, a repeating number, to do your real estate. So I think this night I had 9 beers, and I called the guy, just dialed the number, and the guy answered, and I said, hey, it was an individual that owned the phone number. I said, hey, I want to buy your phone number. He's like, what? He said, you sound drunk. I said, I am, but I still want to buy your phone number. And he said, okay, I'll sell to you for $450. So I went down.
$450.
$450, and he transferred the number for $450.
Wow.
Now I know why he sold it to me, because it's 704-777-777. Taxis call it. People call it all the time thinking it's taxis. Women at bars give it out for some, I don't know why. Dumb guys call asking for Sally, and then also 2 people in the employment applications. Geico calls us all the time. I don't know why, but so that number rings like crazy. So
nonstop.
It's nonstop. So that's why he sold it, because it was such a pain. So now I have a system that's like, when you call it, it says press 1 to buy or sell a house, to weed out all those calls. But a lot of times on Friday and Saturday nights, I would just answer it, because I knew it was cab people calling for cabs and stuff. And but that's how now what happened was, during the downturn, I got in trouble. I mortgaged the number for $10,000. And then I lost it because I couldn't make the payments during bad times. But I was able to buy it back for $20,000.
Right.
But so you can mortgage phone numbers if you didn't know that.
I know that now.
I mean, so yeah, that was pretty cool.
Right. We got to figure out who owns the 77 number in my neck of the woods. So what else was there? What is your passion? What is your why? What drives you?
This is going to get sort of personal. I think as a kid, I always had very low self-esteem. I don't know why. My parents were really, they were good and encouraging, but I think the reason I do this is because if you're this crazy person, people like you or whatever, likability factor maybe, and if you make money, people like you. So I think there's some kind of driving force of wanting to be liked. I really think that's more than it is. And I like helping people too. I love when I can make a difference. I'll tell you a quick story. It goes back to I love solving problems. This will make sense when we get through. But a friend of mine, Penny, who had her 2 kids lived in Ohio. Okay, she was struggling. She was my roommate, and she's like, I really need to get my kids back. I can't afford to have them down here. I got this minimum wage job, And I was like, how can I solve this problem? How can I solve this? And I was like, you're going to buy a house. This is how you're going to get your kids back. She's like, she was cussing at me. I'm buying a house. I ain't going to get my kids back. Rah, rah, rah. So I found this one house that had a little efficiency apartment. Okay. And it was listed at the time. It's getting ready to come off listing. So I would let it go off listing. I went to the owners and made them a deal to buy it for less. And at the time she had not bad credit, but a couple things. So we ended up fixing a couple things on her credit. And then we also, there's a program where the city will give you $7,500. If you buy in a certain area, they'll give you $7,500 for your down payment.
Yep.
So the city gave her the $7,500 for a down payment. and then she needed $750, and just say it magically appeared from somewhere. So anyway, she got in this house for $750, and we were able to rent out the one side over there. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. So we ended up getting her kids to move back from Ohio. They lived in the 2 rooms. Penny lived in the 1 room, and I lived in the other room. But because I was able to contribute money for the rent and the other stuff, she was able to basically live for free and got her kids back. So I like when I can come up with stuff that makes a difference in people's lives. I love when I can do that. And I hope Penny's not going to kill me for telling the story. So why again? I think it's that to be known, be liked, and I do like the freedom that money gives you to be able to travel a little bit and eat in good restaurants. So that's probably basically it. I'm still trying to come up with my full why I do this, to be honest.
It's a challenge for all of us. So what's your biggest struggle right now in your business?
Organization. I'm the worst. This is how I know when to pay my electricity, my water, and my phone. I'm not kidding.
Collection calls you?
No, when they get cut off. The other day I was out there, turned the water on those little things because they cut my water off. Everybody shut the office one day and the electricity wasn't working. I'm like, why don't you go work someplace else? I was running around making a call to get the electricity turned back on, So I'd say organization is one of my biggest weaknesses. I'm a visionary and I'm really focused on deals and real creative at getting them. But when it comes to organization, it's not my strong suit.
Sounds like you can use an assistant.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
What is your superpower?
I think I connect and I see things. I can look at a deal and look at stuff and see stuff that other people don't see, whether it's subdividing a lot off or reconfiguring it or seeing a creative way to do stuff. Like I did this deal the other day where I got someone, gave him like $130,000 down and got him to take like $30,000 or $40,000 on a personal note. I was able to sell the property, and that note doesn't attach to anything. I only made about $20,000 on the property, but now I can make this thing at 0%. I mean, I can come up with weird, off-the-wall solutions. I think that's what I'm really good at. I'm good at seeing how to put people together, and but I think the biggest thing is just to see things that other people don't see on a deal.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it was Jim Rohn or whoever said this, but the amount of money you can make is directly proportional to how hard of a problem you can solve.
That's it. And these problems, guys, they're not super hard. Once you learn them, it's just learning them. It's not as hard as it may seem.
Right. Is there any last message you would like to leave the audience with?
Let me see. Last message. I don't know. Just that I think that people have self-limiting beliefs, and that everything from thinking they need money to credit or whatever. I think people can do a whole lot more than and people are so. I hear all the time there's these self-limiting beliefs. I don't know how to do this. Well, we don't know how to do it. When we started this, we didn't know what to do. We jumped in and learned it. So I think I would tell people to give themselves more credit and stop having these don't say you can't do it, because you can. It's all in your mind. Being able to put stuff like this together, and that's what I would leave people is continue to get knowledge, continue to learn, network, and that you can do a whole lot more than you think you can. The only thing that's holding you back is you. That's the only thing that holds people back.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And then you were talking about earlier, you've got some sort of mastermind program you were running? Yeah,
we just started a mastermind group. It's $105 a month. We get 4 Zoom meetings. It's me typically, although it's not me tonight because I'll be out drinking, but it's me, and then I've got friends, some heavy hitters, different people sharing like these techniques, other techniques, and some easy ways to make money in the real estate. So, and then we have a Facebook group, and it's called Uncle Carl and Friends Mastermind Group. $105. I mean, come on, guys. That's cheap for the kind of stuff that we show. And tonight, it's 8 o'clock. It starts. We got one at 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time, where Maria and Erica are doing all the skip trace. They're teaching people the skip tracing, exactly how we put these deals together. Unfortunately, I think I'm giving away too much stuff, but I'm hoping that it'll pay off and we can make a difference for people. So
absolutely. And then if someone want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Well, you could call 704-777-777 extension 1 and leave a message, or I'll give you my direct phone number too. It's 704-995-5385, 704-995-5385. It's best to text.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'll be here for a couple of days. So if anybody's in the area wants to get together, I'll be out drinking beer down somewhere in Tempe.
Yeah.
I'd love to hang out with people. So if anyone wants to call me in the area, get together, it'd be great.
And you'll be at the meetup tomorrow night.
Yeah, going to meetup.
Right?
Yeah,
so guys, tomorrow night 4:30 at Dave & Buster's. Jesse Burrell and Ivo Dragunov are going to be talking about how data is king, how it's fueling their business, but. Carl's going to be there, and then Willie Coleman's going to be there, and he's the guy that turned 18 last Saturday. He's already done 13 wholesale deals in the last 6 months. It's bonkers, and you've got these reasons why you can't be successful. He can't even sign a contract.
Yeah,
and he's closing deals.
See, a lot of people that would be self-limiting. I can't sign a contract. I'm not going to do it. But he found a way. I love it.
Yeah, he brought his brother to the appointments.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love when people do that,
Yeah, so that's 11 o'clock tomorrow, guys, 11 Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern. And if you guys need help getting ARV for the properties you guys are looking at, if you need help closing your deals in the Phoenix area, please reach out to me. We'll be happy to go with you guys to those. And if you want a copy of our assignment contract, go to realestatedisruptors.com and opt in. My assistant will send you a copy of our assignment contract. And again, guys, if you like this show, please share this episode right now. A rising tide does lift all boats.
Hey, one other thing, I bought you a Uncle Carl T-shirt. Guys, check it out. So you now have an official Uncle Carl's T-shirt.
This is fantastic. Awesome. All right, thank you guys, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.